Ladies and gentlemen, Final Shape's just right around the corner, and everyone asks, what weapons can I get to be ready for Final Shape? Some of you might have missed out the last couple seasons. You don't know what weapons we've been using for meta and PvE. This video is just structured to give you a checklist of kinetic, energies, and heavies. I do want to point out before I get into the weapons, you can search all the weapons on light.gg or Gunsmith. If you want to see what different roles there are, I'll put the links down in the description below. First up, we're going to be starting off with the kinetic legendaries, and you guessed it, get yourself a good kinetic fusion rifle. You have Riptide, it's really good with chill clip and auto loading for a swap weapon, but there is two other kinetic fusion rifles that we've been using this season. Scatter Signal you can get from Riven, and it's simply just a little better. I can show you in a clip here the difference between freezing enemies with Riptide and kind of controlling your atmosphere, or just using overflow and controlled burst to burn a champion depending on what subclass you're on. Another weapon I wanted to shout out is the Ron fusion rifle Deliverance. It does come with Demolitionist and chill clip. If you put ionized battery on, it's going to give you 8 shots, so it's going to give you more shots of chill clip. This actually I think is going to get changed in Final Shape, so it's going to have the same freeze burst as the Riptide, so you just have something to switch to in case if you don't have Riptide, because farming those Crucible engrams kind of is terrible, and Scatter Signal is really easy to get. If you don't use the AC 130 Warlock helmet, you're pretty much messing out on one of the best helmets in the game, and having a kinetic trace rifle for the Warlock like a Pentis is very simple to use, especially when you can use guns in your energy slot this season like Sunshot and other fan favorite exotics in your energy slot. But also just being able to have a kinetic trace rifle is a lot better. I know some people pair the Ron trace rifle or the Dares trace rifle. We'll be getting to those, but I feel like a Pentis this season, since you can craft it, get Demolitionist killing tally, got Stasis Surge on it as well, it would be a nice clean trace rifle for you to use for your Warlocks, for your Cenotaph build. You guys want to save some money? Going on to gamersubs.gg all week long starting today and get yourself a shirt like this, because we got plenty of talent on there, if you know what I'm saying, and stuff like, yeah, flavors I recommend: Clyde's Black Cherry, Cherry Lime Sickle. I'm a huge fan of the good flavor as well. It tastes like a cherry slushy. Head on over there, support the fam, go Clyde at checkout. Enjoy the video. Next up, Kinetic Hand Cannon. We got Midnight Coup this season that you can farm from Onslaught. Everyone's going for that role, Firefly Frenzy, or like Explosive Payload one for all. There's countless roles for this. Get whatever role you like, but having a Midnight Coup is definitely something you should have in your Kinetic Hand Cannons, because not everybody can go get themselves a Time Lost Fate Bringer. Now we're going to talk about Kinetic GLs. A lot of the grenade launchers with blinding is very good in our arsenal, especially for under-leveled day one content. Harden Our Dust is a craftable grenade launcher with disorienting, auto-loading Vorpal. Really good in that slot. If you wanted to try some different ones, you can go for the Lingering Dread. This does have disorienting, auto-loading chill clip, but you do have to grind duality. And then another fan favorite from Dares is the Ignition Code OG Disoriented Slide Shot Frenzy. So if I was you, try and get that Harden Our Dust unlocked while trying to go for the Ignition Code. Just to have it is very nice, especially for blinding tormentors or these new subjugators. You can have a blinding GL in your kinetic or your energy slot, can help you out. A great kinetic auto rifle from Root of Nightmares raid is Rufus's Fury. This drops with Demolitionist Frenzy, one of my favorites. Remember, these weapons have harmonic resonance. They do damage to tormentors. Rufus's Fury would be good, and it just pairs well with your builds. I've used this on like solar subclass, so I just feel like a good auto rifle in the kinetic slots. You should definitely go get yourself a Rufus's Fury. Want yourself a good kinetic scout rifle? Everyone's gonna be farming those hung juries in the Onslaught. Again, shoot to loot comes on this thing. Shoot to loot is really good for your ammo capacity, but just having a scout rifle for long range, I feel like hung jury would be a good thing for your arsenal. But me personally, I go for Night Watch. You can actually go play Gambit. That's right, Clyde said it here first, but if you turn in engrams at the Drifter, you can actually get the Night Watch. Me personally, I like it because the explosive payload just feels really good. I just believe that this is probably one of the best kinetic scout rifles in the game, so if you get yourself Night Watch, I feel like you'll have no issues for having a scout rifle. For a kinetic sniper, Supremacy is reigning terror this season in Onslaught, just being able to spam with kinetic tremors and rewind on a single boss target. You can also put 4th times the charm on this and never have to reload it. Really good for spamming and high DPS in small bursts. So if you could definitely go get yourself a crafted Supremacy, it would definitely work out for you. The session is dropping from the Onslaught, so if you can get yourself a good reconstruction Vorpal roll or craft it, definitely something. This aggressive frame sniper hits very, very hard. We've always used this, and I feel like it's just a good kinetic sniper to have. Now let's talk about some 1-2 punch shotguns. Everyone knows that Strand Titan's been running around with those 1-2 punch shotguns. Maybe you don't want to run a energy shotgun and you want something in your kinetic slot. I feel like Ragnahild's really good with slide shot 1-2 punch, but also you can use the Wastelander as well. People use this with 1-2 punch on it. It's kind of up to you, whichever one you want. Everyone's farming Mountaintop this season, and we all know know that you're probably going to use this for future content. I would definitely go for a recombination, a frenzy roll, or a vorpal roll. You can definitely get one with spike or implosion. I heard implosion's doing more damage, so try and go for that auto loading with vorpal, recombination, or frenzy. Another kinetic grenade launcher that everyone's farming for. You have one more chance to get this. One iron banner left. Husk of the boar with slice hatchling, slice chain reaction. This thing's actually pretty good, but again, day one scenario, slice severs targets. They do less damage to you. Just so you don't miss out on it, we'll be able to enhance these perks as well come June 4th. Honorable mentions for the kinetics. Warden's Law. Everyone knows the Lucky Pants Hunter is broken. You're going to be using either Warden's Law or the Malfeasance with it. Getting something for final stand like a Lucky Pants Hunter could be the make or break of you wiping in the raid or not. So definitely be on the lookout for a 4th time vorpal roll. And I wanted to give another shout out for an honorable mention on the Chattering Bone with Blast Furnace, Chattering Bone. Easy to obtain this season. Blast Furnace will be from Onslaught and Chattering Bone from Last Wish. You should definitely get yourself a good kinetic pulse rifle just in case you need it. Again, now we're getting into the kinetic exotics. We all know that Wish Ender is absolutely busted. I mean, you can literally just use this probably through a whole DM and never take it off. Being able to stun those anti-barriers and getting that high kinetic damage with the bow on like hit these wyverns from a far distance and stun champs right away. Everyone knows how broken Wish Ender is, so you should definitely make sure you have this unlocked and ready to go. Even Wish Keeper, the new bow that they just added, this is absolutely busted. I've used it with my Suspend Titan. I see Warlocks are running it now with their Swarmers. Being able to suspend all targets, pair this with like an Indebted Kindness is really good ad clear, and it's really good for suspend builds. So please make sure you complete the quest. Ah yes, the Izanagi Burden, the one that no one knows how to hit reload right after the shot. You know, when your friends are trying to do Izanagi swaps and they miss that hard to reload right after they shoot that shot. A little tough, but Izanagi, probably one of the best kinetic weapons to pair with your triple swapping, with your grenade launchers or your rockets. I really don't have to talk more about this, but everyone knows, please have your Izanagis ready for day one or final shape. With 0 hour coming and being able to craft an outbreak, being able to put rewind rounds on this outbreak for using it for final stand, I will definitely have this in my final stand loadout just in case. With rewind, it's probably going to be insane, so make sure that you do the new 0 hour mission. If you don't have Witherhoard Catalyst done, you might as well just uninstall the game because it's probably going to take you 2 years to do it. Just kidding. Anyways, make sure you got your Witherhoard ready to go. Everyone knows that it's really good for swaps and ad clear. Shoot one Witherhoard shot, swap to a different weapon, and clear ads. Probably one of the most slept on weapons in the game. Ager's Scepter with Stasis Warlock just freezes everything, and being able to pair this with like Cenotaph, enough said. I mean, freeze everything. Frosty the Snowman build. I don't know what, like, please, if you don't use this weapon, that's for you. Warlock users, you're all using Osteostriga, probably with your Necrotic build, and it's insane. Some people use this for tick damage on their triple swapping with bait and switch. To me, it's kind of a niche, but Jet told me if I didn't put this on here with the Thorn, again, I don't agree with it. Yeah, I'm slacking on the Catalyst, leave me alone. But again, I feel like this is only for the Strand Warlock users, but again, you should still get it. Quicksilver Storm just got a buff. I think this thing actually feels good now. I've used it in under level content. I've used it in GMs. I just feel like it's a good weapon, and you should definitely play into it, especially with all the build crafting we're gonna have in final shape. Arbalist still goes down as one of the best weapons in my opinion because it has disruption break, one shots champs. Also, 4 Arbalist shots in a row are better ammo economy than your Izanagi shots. Is it going to do the same amount of damage? Not so much, but again, there's no excuse not to have this weapon. Honorable mentions for the kinetic exotics. Conditional, a lot of weapons are on here from that raid, so you might get lucky and get conditional drop. It freezes champs, it hits on stops, nuke champs, and also it plays into the harmonic resonance buff for the round weapons. Definitely should get this one in your arsenal. Lumina, a very important build for day one raiding. A lot of people don't know, but this buffs your teammates damage 10% higher than a well. In a day one scenario, if someone's running Lumina and they're really good at shooting their teammates, giving them that 35% damage bonus, all you have to do is shoot them, Blessing of the Sky, and it buffs yourself, buffs your teammates. It could be very broken, make or break of a team wipe, or make or break of a 3rd phase instead of a 2 phase. Learn how to use it. One of the most slept on weapons in PvE, used for a lot of challenges. Lucky Pants users, if you're not wanting to run the Warden's Law, Malfeasance is up there. This does more damage to Taken as well with intrinsic unstop. Not really a fan of this weapon, but a lot of people like it, so that's why it's on this list. Energy weapons, legendaries are raw or Barons. I mean, if you haven't experienced this thing in its prime, you're missing out. I do think that the Soul Drinker perk is better than the one from Onslaught, but I understand that people don't have time to farm it with raid teams. Get this Ambitious Chain, enough said. destroy enemies, make ionic traces. Really good weapon for head clear. Good old Callus mini tool. Now, not everybody has time to farm for these crafted weapons, so I wanted to throw 3 submachine guns on just in case if you didn't have any. Callus mini tool, there's enough said here with the threat detector incandescent. Really good for your solar builds. Slaying into the Akelos SMG. If you cannot get this for your art builds with feeding frenzy volt shot, you can get subjunctive from this season with detector volt shot. Auto rifles in the energy slot. People give me cope for this, but this is my top auto rifle in the whole game, and that's why, because of land tank. Final blows with this weapon grant increased resilience and additional damage resilience from combatants. This stacks with everything. It stacks with your 10 resilience. It stacks with Devour, Banner of War, you name it. I've used this in 3 day 1 raids. Now, if you don't want that, you do have a kind of option here. Summoner. A lot of people are playing with Summoner this season using incandescent heal clip. Damn it. You can also craft that one, but again, I choose Sweet Sorrow over any of those. You'll see why if you use it. Recluse is back with this season with Onslaught. This is the OG role with the Master of Arms feeding frenzy. Your Falcon Hunters love this, plus like Void Warlocks. You should definitely go get yourself a Recluse. If you want to go put in Pain and Suffering and go into Duality, Demolitionist Frenzy, Unforgiven, hands down, to me is one of my favorite Void submachine guns in the game. I like this better than the others just because that Frenzy reload, 15% damage, and playing into my demo with my nade build, amazing. Fusion rifles in the energy slot. If you didn't buy this one from Banshee when he was selling lead for gold Vorpal, you can get it from Zur or wait for Banshee to sell it again. Definitely should have one in the rapid frame slot, but any other rapid frame spamming Cartesian will work. A lot of people use the Eremite fusion rifle in their swaps as well with their Izanagi shots or their grenade launcher shots. This is a high impact frame, but since it has envious controlled burst, it's an easy swap weapon. Also, we have Techian Force from the Last Wish raid, another hard hitting, really long charge time fusion rifle that you can use with your swaps. Zalo's Bane is definitely a fan favorite from this season. Just make sure that the reload's tough on this. You have the intrinsic reload masterwork, and please use solar loader for this gun. The explosive payload incandescent to me just feels really well, and it actually spreads more scorch than any other weapon. Epical integration is the Neomuna hand cannon. I know a lot of people like, but again, if I know something can be crafted with enhanced perks, I go for that. But if you want to use Epical, you can. Luna's Howl is going to be dropping with Onslaught as well. Some PvE perks in there, so again, you have options, but just wanted to voice that you pretty much are looking for something with incandescent. Indebted Kindness is still, I think it's the second most used weapon in Onslaught worldwide. This thing slaps. Just having something that can just keep stunning and jolting champs. I mean, you can stun champs with this. You can just jolt targets. Just being able to shoot something, reload, and spread that volt shot, absolutely amazing. And it does really good damage in GMs. I've paired this with builds before. Please go farm the Warlord's Ruin and get yourself a roll. Scout rifles in the energy slot. Again, I'm just like Nightwatch. I'm all about the explosive payload. I think Vouchsafe, hands down, one of the best energy scout rifles you can use. I like the 200 RPM scout rifle as well. And if you wanted something that kind of competes with it, Duma Chelchis right here with explosive payload Frenzy. It is a precision frame, so it shoots a little slower. So it's kind of up to you. Whatever one you want to get, you can get the Vouchsafe from Engrams or get Duma Chelchis from Kingsfall. Akelos shotgun going to give you that Grave Robber melee final blows. Reload this weapon, so it's like a Strand Titan's dream. Other than that, I've always used the kinetic shotguns that I pointed out when I was going over the kinetics with you. So if you needed something for the energy slot, this is what you need. Well, we had some kinetic GLs. Now we need something in the energy slot. Empty Vessel from the Vanguard. You can get the blinding nades with spike nades, auto-loading Vorpal, really good swap weapon. You could follow this up with a Izanagi and a grenade launcher or a rocket. Really good for swapping. Also, it's good for blinding. Bungie pulled a fast one on us with these Retrace Path perks. We didn't even know that it got updated perks. Yes, it can now get Shoot the Loot. I'm a big fan of Shoot the Loot on the Trace Rifle because sometimes when you're running out of ammo in a raid, shoot the loot, grab more ammo. I mean, hey, for rockets and final stands, this could be huge. Now we're moving on to energy exotics that are must-haves. I mean, Sunshot has been dominating this whole season. So I feel like it's going to be just as strong next season. Not so much, but still, it still will have the exotic trait of making the sunburn and getting the explosions. So we might find ways to pair it in. But hey, if not, just enjoy it the rest of the season. Graviton Lance is shredding Onslaught this season if you're using the Gyre Falcon or Orpheus Rig Hunter. And pretty much, I just feel like it's a really good weapon for the Gyre Falcon Hunter. And we might see some of that build shining next season. So I wanted to point out that this weapon could do really well with your build. So definitely unlock it. Let's talk about the bows, the Trinities, the Lemon Arcs, and the Tikus. I mean, Trinity, I've seen my teammate Dig on day one raid absolutely slay with this and add clear. I remember I used it in Vow. I would definitely recommend using this. Lemon Arc and Tikus are really good exotic weapons as well. Definitely should snag those. Risk Runner, hands down, an easy exotic to get. You get this from like the intro quest. Throw grenades at your feet, proc Arc Conductor, slay out. We've used this in GMs, but I just want to remind you how strong it is. Again, we might go up against some Fallen or some enemies that do arc damage. Polaris Lance is shining this season, standing in a well, causing explosions. Do I think it's going to be broken next season? It's kind of one of those iffies because of solar builds getting nuked next season, but Polaris Lance is something you should definitely look into. Fourth Horseman's really good for swaps using all the swords that Bungie gave us this season. I think with Fourth Horseman swapping in there, you can even do it on Crota. Just a really good weapon, and plus on the nuke bosses with this Fourth Horseman, but we do use it in DPS rotations, so it might be something that you might want to look into. Cloud Strike Wendigo swaps were always good back in the day, but we never really used them. But again, going down all the possible loadouts that we could be using in a day one, Cloud Strike is good with Div and swapping with Wendigo. You need to get this? No, but should you get it? Yes. So definitely look into this exotic. It's just fun to spam with friends and GMs and swap with any arc heavy so you can match the surges. Honorable mentions in the energy exotics are going to be Buried Bloodline. You get this from Warlord's Ruin. This thing is a Reaper. It gives you Devour. You can just simply put this weapon on, proc Devour, and swap off. Yes, I'm probably going to be doing that in day one. And now I'm telling you to go do Garden. That's right. Go do a 5-hour div run and make sure you get this. Again, not having div for day one would be a throw. Cenotaph Warlock, making ammo, and also giving you crit shots, because by the time we hit the boss, we're probably going to be cooked and can't aim anyway. So Divinity's going to help you out with that. Make sure someone on the fire team has it at least. Moving on to heavies. If you don't have Apex Predator crafted, I don't want to hear it. You just go talk to Mommy Marasov and you ask her for 5 Apex Predators. If you're like, Clyde, I messed up and I didn't pick all Apex Predators, well then go and shoot a boss that takes 10 seconds to kill. There's no excuse for you to not have this crafted. Please go do it. Some other rockets you could be going for is something like Hothead. I get it, new players can't unlock this, but if you played before and you had this unlocked, you can go grab a non-adept one at the Vanguard for engrams. The Copium Crux, yes, this has slide shot with bipod, a lot of fun. You can get a slide shot surrounded. This will be easier to farm next season. Pretty much what I'm telling you to do is just go find a rocket. Even this OG, we used to use this in Vow. You get 12 rockets on this, 12 rockets that can be buffed by explosive light and impulse amplifier. This thing will actually cook. I'm not even kidding. Just make sure you got a good rocket launcher, okay? Moving on to heavy GLs. Yes, the Cope, everyone farmed for Cataphract. We're like, oh my God, it's gonna be so busted. Then Bungie goes ahead and gives us Edge Transit. If you can't get that Trials GL to drop because you only got one more week to get it, Edge Transit's gonna be your play from Onslaught. You're looking for bait and switch with Envious Assassin. If you don't get spiked, that's okay. Get mini frags or augmented drum to get more in the magazine. That's right, you get 7 instead of 6. Easy GL to farm. If you want to go get yourself a Wendigo, auto-loading explosive, easy to swap with. But yeah, you would just have to go turn in Vanguard engrams to get these because this isn't in the rotation anymore. With Hammerhead returning, I can't stress enough to get that. It's going to be dropping with some cool perks like Rampage, Killing Tally. But if you want some other machine guns on the heavy slot, I can give you some quick shout outs on the Commemoration, Subsistence Killing Tally, or Reconstruction Killing Tally. You get this from farming Tanic, so that should be an easy clear. Retrofit Escapade is doing tons of damage this season. Can't stress enough. You can get this from the weekly rotator mission, but it's going to be hard to get those red frames. With a little bit of grinding, that 4th times target lock will be yours. Circular Logic, I really like this thing with Envious and Hatchling for my Strand builds, and you farm it on Neomuna. Should be an easy dub for you. But again, I threw Avalanche on here because this is probably one of my favorite machine guns, but this is no longer obtainable, so if you missed out, it's okay. You have other weapons like Fixed Odds, can drop with Incandescent Field Prep, so that's going to be a really good solar machine gun for you to use, and also the Solar. That rolls with Incandescent as well. I just don't have one. Song of Verut is from Crota. Rewind Target Lock, really good on this thing for an arc machine gun. Again, if you don't want to use this, use Thunderlord. We already know that there's going to be a Tormentor and a Subjugator in the final shape. So Briars with Haven Harmonic Resonance is going to give us more damage to those Loosened Hive. Briars with Rewind and Surrounded, a Rewind Frenzy, or you can use the Reconstruction. Definitely get this from farming. Ron Cataclysmic is from Vow, and it does have bait and switch. Even though that it got nerfed, it's still probably one of the best linears out there. So if you wanted to go farm Vow for this, I would recommend doing Caretaker or the final boss. Also from this season, Doom Petitioner with the new Precision Instrument Instrument perk. We all thought that it was going to work really well against orcs, but then we found out it didn't proc. But I feel like for a good craftable weapon, but if you wanted to go for the old fan favorite with Taipan, that's all good too. While you're farming dares for those other weapons that I had on this list, please try and get yourself an Eager Edge sword like the other half. There is some other swords in the game that Bungie puts with Eager Edge, so you can get stuff like the Slammer with Eager Edge bait and switch, and also the Onslaught Falling Guillotine that Bungie just brought back this season has the Eager Edge perk. So just make sure you got a movement sword, or your friends are just going to say, why are you back there? We're 10 lamps ahead of you on Crota. You don't want to be the one left behind, so make sure you got some sword with Eager Edge. Now, while you're farming Taniks because you're trying to get a commemoration, please try and get up a quest with Relentless Surrounded. This has the highest impact of the sword, a 78. Adaptive frame, you literally just have to just light attack nonstop. Does some of the best DPS to Crota, and we're using swords against any bosses in future content. Why not have the bequest? Moving on to the heavy exotics, Tractor Cannon is probably going to be a very important debuff weapon in the final shape, especially for suppressing enemies or day one raids. I always told people Sleeper Stimulant is the best returning player weapon, because simply you can have this on, go into Song of Ryu right now, and just cook the boss if divs applied. Sleeper's always a hard-hitting linear. Great exotic, should definitely have it for DPS, and easy to unlock. Whisper is craftable this season. We can get that field prep. That's what I put on mine so far. We're waiting for future weeks, but this thing cooks. They buff the reserves. It's really good on orcs. If we have a long DPS phase in the final shape, Whisper could make a return, but hey, you might as well do the mission anyway because it's featured this season. Good old T-Lord. We were one phase in bosses with div, and then we found out that Thunderlord was doing double damage, but hey, this thing still cooks. Stuns the overloads and absolutely shreds tormentors. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you use it in the onslaught, as soon as that chest piece is showing on a Tormentor, Thunderlord kind of stuns him, keeps him in place from the jolt. Really good weapon. People still use this on LFG for DPS. Might as well grab it for yourself, right? Leviathan's Breath is really good for team play DPS and solo dungeon, worthy of DPS. Some people use this in Ghost of the Deep for their solos, and it's still used to this day for Crota. I just feel like it's a really good DPS. The more ammo type, they buff the ammo on this, and making sure that you get those crits and stuns champs. It's just a fun bow. It actually does good DPS. Xenophage, fun quest, but hey, you never know if this thing will ever make a return. Do you need this? It made it shine. We've always used it, and I feel like it's just one of those weapons that you need to go and experience the quest. So if you haven't done it yet, please go get this. Do the quest, enjoy Pit of Heresy, enjoy the secret boss redacted, and then let me know if you think it was worth it. Lament, really good sword. Blocking saves you from dying. It was really good for Crota day one. I think you should definitely go do the quest for this, Beyond Light. You pick it up from Banshee, you just need to own Beyond Light. But again, this is a really good sword for blocking, keeping yourself alive, good for team play, and also really good damage. OG Gallowhorn, I mean, hey, buffs rockets. You could be a returning player and tell your teammates, hey, I got Gallowhorn on, you guys do your crazy swap and I'll buff your damage. Everyone will love you. Parasite just got a buff, and it's absolutely dominating with bosses right now and Onslaught and even raid bosses. With that times 20 shot, it's really good DPS, but also you could put holster on this and just spam it, use all the shots, do good damage. Try it out, see for yourself. Final, Dragon's Breath. I use this on my solo flawless for Warlord's Ruin. Just pairing this with Shards of Galanor, or pairing this with your solar builds and stacking up the Scorch and just igniting everything. Fun weapon. Bungie bought it back this season. Make sure you get the Catalyst as well. Now we're going to the honorable mentions. These are ones that are very niche, but they're really good, and also they're expensive. Grand Overture is a very niche weapon, but stacking this and stacking up those shots and just doing a rapid spam as a fire team, Grand Overture absolutely cooks. It cooks raid bosses. Definitely look into using this weapon. Try it out, see if you like it. Use it on like Caretaker, other raid bosses. My favorite gun in the game, Anarchy, and you're probably like, Clyde, why is it on the honorable mentions? It's because it costs spoils, and a lot of people can't farm spoils. But I do want to point out, with doing those raid challenges and playing Pantheon, Bungie did state that if you do the triumphs for Pantheon, it'll give you 30 plus spoils per triumph. That's gonna be amazing. But Anarchy, hands down my favorite exotic in the game, just because it's unique. Definitely should get it. It pairs well with rapid fire snipers and fusions, good damage rotations. And then the Chunkrius. Legend of Acrius just got a buff because now range melee attacks proc French Barrel. I used Acrius for day one Crota. It's absolutely amazing. I've used this in the Warlord's Ruin. I built bosses with it. Very fun weapon to use. I know that was a lot of yapping, and you're like, oh my God, Clyde, why did you go over every single weapon that I'm probably not going to use? This was meant for people that needed a little quick refresher on what weapons that we've been using the past year or longer, and just to get everybody caught up in the game. There might be some weapons where it's like, hey, Clyde mentioned this fusion rifle, but I have this one, so I'm good. Just wanted to give you guys some options. If you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys like this full breakdown. It's definitely something different, but I knew I couldn't put all this in the prep guide. Let me know what you guys thought of me just breaking it down, so I'll see the comments down below. Just let me know. Do you think this was worth me doing this, talking about everything, or did I waste my time? That's all I want to know, because I want to keep doing more stuff like this and talk about weapons with new stuff coming out in Final Shape. I appreciate everybody watching. Don't forget to sub. We're kicking ass on views. I appreciate you guys supporting all the content, and I'll see you guys next time.